Baker here, the Sixth Doctor from Doctor Who, or Old Sixie, as I like to call him. Let me welcome you into the TARDIS. As an actor, I had the great pleasure of playing the Doctor on television in the 1980s, all that time ago, and now on audio for over 20 years, in productions officially licensed by the BBC and lovingly crafted by Big Finish Productions. That's what this podcast is all about. Doctor Who audio drama from Big Finish. Each edition of Into the TARDIS features an exciting episode of Doctor Who with friends, aliens, villains, monsters, and passers-by. Some of them old favourites, some of them brand new. Last time we featured part 1 of Fanfare for the Common Men. And now it's time to strap in for the next exciting instalment. You can nip back and listen to that first episode of the podcast now, or if you want to just dive straight in, here's my handy little recap for you. The Doctor and Nyssa have gone back to 1963 to see the Beatles, but instead have found that the common men now occupy their place in time. An assassination attempt on the group by a mysterious assailant leads Nyssa and the Doctor to give chase, only for Nyssa to be whisked through time as the would-be assassin makes a getaway. With Nyssa lost in the past in Hamburg, the Doctor encounters a young female fan of the common men called Rita, who, whilst hanging on the Doctor's coattails in order to meet the band, ends up helping the Doctor as he tries to find out what has happened. Pay attention, it's quite complicated. With the pivotal year of 1957 time-locked, the Doctor takes Rita and himself back to see the common men in the Royal Variety Show. Whilst there, the crowd falls under a malevolent force, causing them to turn on the Doctor and Rita. Now, keep an ear out for some wonderful Mersey beat from sound designer and musician Howard Carter, which really adds to the atmosphere. I'll be back in a short while with another look at how the episode was made. So I'll talk to you in a bit, because now it's time for part 2 of Fanfare for the Common Men. Aha! Now, be honest, did you think the Doctor had cracked the case when he found another time-sensitive alien hiding out on Earth? Did you? Not that simple, though. And the mystery deepens with the common men turning out to be very uncommon aliens. Of course, I took over from young Peter. If I'm old 60, he must be young 50, I suppose. I took over, and I had the joy of turning up in the studio while he was finishing off the wonderful Caves of Androzani, which really was a very good story. And he was entering a scene in which he was supposed to fight the magma monster, I think it was called. And they were running out of time. So they decided that there wouldn't be a fight. The magma monster would have apparently committed suicide or something, because he happened upon it already deceased and had to rush through to save Nicola, my companion Perry, from Spectrox toxemia and administer the antidote. And so I saw weeping special effects men who've been spending months getting the magma monster into fighting Fettel, only to find it was never needed, which was very sad, which gave me a glimpse of what was to come in terms of what had to be done to get the show on the screen. And Peter lay on the ground and died, and I jumped in and stood there and lay there and sat up and did my opening bit. And when we'd all finished, I went up to him and said, any thoughts, Peter, any advice? And he kind of did a long thinking face and looked at me and said, no, not really. And that was the passing of the baton. Such fun. enough of that. Before I go, it's time to have a little look behind the scenes of the making of this story with guest cast member Mitch Benn.
I am playing Mark Carville, who is not John Lennon. I'd just like to make that quite clear. He sounds a lot like him, and he briefly occupies his place in history, but he is not John Lennon.
There's people who've tried to find the Doctor. It's a good story, isn't it? The man who saved our lives. But we never found out his name, so that's all they had to go on. He didn't come backstage at the Royal Variety. Never saw him again.
I've got a massive love for Doctor Who and an insane love of the Beatles, so this is like a little dream project for me. I nearly had Barnaby's arm off when he asked if I'd do this. Well, I was hauled into Radio 5 Live exactly a week ago and taken off to the Doctor Who set in Cardiff in my capacity as a super fan. That's actually how they describe me on there now. And I've brought my script there in my little Dalek holdall, and that's not an affectation, that's just my bag. It was given to me, and I carry my stuff around it. And massive Doctor Who freak. I've been since very early age, since about 4 or 5, so just at the beginning of the Tom era actually. And this is great to work with Peter, because probably my most intense fan period, I guess, was probably during the Peter era, as when I started going to conventions and that kind of thing. It was sort of when I was in my early to mid-teens, which is very much kind of Peter's era. So it's great. It's great to be in a Peter story, the fifth Doctor and Nyssa story. That's lovely. That's very much my sort of era.
And wait, you're saying it's not us? They've been reacting to us, just this bloke's machine?
It was always there, but he was enhancing it.
So we're not that good then?
You're good. Just not as good as the real thing, that's all.
I'm glad that I'll be able to tell people that I was in a 50th anniversary Doctor Who story. Not necessarily the 50th anniversary Doctor Who. I was definitely in a one. I understand that Big Finish is doing a sort of little mini-series of stuff set in and around 1963, which is a great idea. And what's particularly clever about this is it ties everything together. It explains who the band Susan was into in the first episode actually were, and what's their connection to the whole of the rest of the Doctor Who universe, which is the kind of thing that Big Finish is particularly good at doing, tying together sort of little loose threads left over from the classic shows.
For the continuing audio adventures of Old 60, along with other classic and new series Who, plus podcasts and so much more, be sure to visit the Big Finish website at www.bigfinish.com. It's time to go. But who is the mysterious Lenny Kruger? Will he really kill Nyssa? And can Corky convince the other common men of the truth of what they really are? All these are very tricky questions, and I want to know the answer too. So see you next time as you come with me into the TARDIS. You've been listening to Into the TARDIS, hosted by me, Colin Baker, and produced by Ian Meadows. Supervising producer was Lizzie Wursdell, and executive producers are Nicholas Briggs and Jason Haig-Ellery.